Okay, welcome back to those that may be listening in via YouTube or a recorded version of. We had suspension of our regular council meeting for a few minutes until 2 p.m. So now it is 2 p.m. and we're going to be entering into our public meeting agenda for Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. And so, like I said, I welcomed everyone. We have a full complement of council today and a few staff members, and our chief building official is here with us also today, Ed Whitmore. So I'll call the meeting to order and I will read the land acknowledgement at this time. We respectively acknowledge that the township of Asphodel-Norwood is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Osale, and Georgina Islands First Nations. We respectively acknowledge that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. And then I'll ask for a moment of silent reflection so we may reflect upon our duties of today as councillors. Thank you. And I'll ask council if there's any declaration of pecuniary interest on the subject that we're going to talk about today in this planning matter. All right, seeing no hands then, thank you. So the Corporation of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood enters into the public meeting today, and it's got to do with the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 2009-08 under section 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 as amended. No. So any person that may attend the public meeting may make written and or verbal representation either in support or in opposition to the proposed signing bylaw amendment. And Ed, I'll leave the notification and so on up to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Notification of the complete application, notification of the public meeting concerning the proposed zoning bylaw amendment was circulated in accordance with the Planning Act to all the required agencies and the neighboring area properties within 120 meters of the subject site. The notification was also posted on the Township of Asphodel-Norwood website for the general public, and the notice was also posted on the subject site itself. So an overview of the proposed application. So the proposed zoning bylaw amendment said BL A-04-2022 rezones the subject severed lands located at 1552 County Road 42 from the rural zone to the residential R1 zone. Retained portion of the subject lands will be rezoned from the rural zone to rural exception 12 zone to recognize that the parcel having a reduced lot area of approximately 20.63 acres. That's about 50.9 acres. Rezoning is required as a condition of the consent application B-41-21. And that consent application was to create a residential lot having 73 meters or 241 feet of frontage on the Asphodel 10th line and an area of approximately 0.62 hectares, about 1.53 acres in land area. I'll go right straight to my report. And in the report, I'd like to read the two paragraphs regarding the Ontario Land Tribunal clauses. So if a person or public body does not make oral submission at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Asphodel-Norwood before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And secondly, if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the township of Asphodel-Norwood before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to a hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. And I'll just continue on if it's okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. So to be notified, if a person wishes to be notified of the decision for any or all applications, the person must make a written request to the township of Asphodel-Norwood, quoting file number ZBLA-04-2022. And that is the application number for this zoning bylaw amendment. The recommendation out of the council report that the council of the township of accepts this report regarding ZBLA-04-2022 Menzies for information, and further that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood directs staff to prepare a bylaw that will rezone the severed lands to residential R1 zone and rezone the retained lands to rural exception 12 RU-12 zone. And I'll continue on. So the zoning bylaw amendment application ZBLA-04-2022 is applicable to the lands described as 1552 County Road 42, municipal roll number 1501-010-003, 14400, and it's concession 9, part lot 16 in the township of Asphodel-Norwood. The purpose and the effect of this zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject severed lands from the rural zone to residential 1 zone. The retained portion of the subject lands will be rezoned from the rural zone to the rural exception 12 zone to recognize the parcel having a reduced lot frontage of 20.63 hectares or 50.9 acres, plus or minus. This is all with respect to the application for consent B-41-21. That application was submitted by Jeffrey and Sarah Menzies. The purpose of the application of B-41-21 is to create a residential lot having 73 meters and 241 feet of frontage on Asphodel 10th line and an area of approximately 0.62 hectares, about 1.53 acres, plus or minus. So the county or the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood recommended approval of that consent back in July of 2021. There was no issues that we found. It seemed to comply with all of the rules and regulations in place of the day. After that, the County of Peterborough Land Division approved that consent application in August 10th of 2021, subject to the applicant rezoning the severed and the retained parcels to the satisfaction of the township. And that's why this application is before us today. And I've attached the zoning bylaw amendment and the notice of complete application and combined notice of public meeting. With respect to engagement, the notice of the application and the notice of public meeting was circulated in accordance, as I said before, with the Planning Act to all the agencies, to the neighboring area properties within 120 meters of the site. The combined notice of application and notice of public meeting was also posted on the Township of Asphodel-Norwood website, and it was also posted on the subject site itself. The comments received from the agencies at time of writing this report was we received from Enbridge. They had no objections. Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board, no concerns. We have not received any, I have not received any phone calls or written comments at time of doing this report from any of the circulated residents. I have since written this report, received comments from Orca, and they reviewed it under their mandate, and they have no concerns. And the conclusion, if this zoning bylaw amendment is passed today, it's subject to a 20-day appeal period. And July 18th would be the end of that appeal period. And then the zoning amendment would become final and binding. So just to summarize it all up, the severance application, we recommended it be approved for a residential lot off the 10th line. County approved it, subject to our rezoning, and the rezoning application has come in. We circulated it. We've received no objections or any other correspondence with respect to this, and I'm open for any questions.
Okay, so at this time then, thank you, Ed. Before I do the meeting of record, I'll ask council if there's any questions of Ed at this time. Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
I just have one, Ed. Thank you through you, Mayor. I believe the entrance does not come off the county road. It comes off the 10th to this light.
Yes,
correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Through you, Mayor, and I've circulated Peter, our roads manager, with the application to ensure that the entrance could be achieved safely with good sight lines, and he said that it could.
Okay.
You know, subject to his conditions when they apply for the entrance permit.
Councilor Walsh, you had your hand up?
Yeah, just a quick question, man. I just kind of went back through my notes when we discussed this back in July of last year. And this is a little larger than normal lot, I believe.
Yes.
Because it's deemed in the settlement area. And the reason for that is because they're not on town source water and sewer, so we had to be able to accommodate
Septic.
for a well and a septic system.
Yes, at the time that this severance went to council, I said that the lot is a little larger than what I like because it is in our settlement area. But Kyle, our water and sewer manager, had no concerns, and Peter had no concerns. And there was no concerns voiced from anybody else. There is no water and sanitary sewer available up there at this time. So possibly in the future, if there ever was a loop that went up the 10th line and back down 42, that maybe there would be a future severance there. I don't know at that time, but yeah, the lot to me is a little bit larger. And since it is only one lot and it did comply with the official plan and the provincial policy statement and all the rest of the good stuff out there in the Planning Act, we just didn't not approve it because we didn't like it because it was a little bit larger than usual. So we did pass it.
Thank you.
Any other questions of council at this time? All right, so the meeting of record, and just for our guests in the audience, that what I would ask is, and you don't have to reply to this, of course, it's just part of how we do the public meeting, but persons in attendance to speak in support of, and I would ask 3 times if there's anyone in the audience that would speak in support. Mr. Garvin, please stand up, state your name and your address, sir.
We have no objections at all. Not going to speak for it or against it, but we have, as neighbors, we have no objection to it at all. It's not going to, I like the idea of this, of the larger lot, to give them a little bit of break because they're right next to County Road. So I think that's all positive, and I think it's all go for it.
Before you sit, Glenn, can you state your name and your civil address for the
Glenn
clerk?
Gervin, 2249.
Thank you, sir. So I'll ask the second time if there's anyone else in support, and a third time. And then I'll ask again if there's anyone in opposition to the application, a first, second, and third time. Seeing no one. So thank you very much. So at this time, then the recommendation that's been recommended to us that we accept this report regarding the Zubla -04-2022 Menzies for information, and that the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood direct staff to prepare a bylaw that will rezone the severed lands to residential 1 R1 zone and rezone the retained lands to rural exception 12 RU-12 zone. Motioned by Deputy Mayor Burt, seconded by Councillor Ward. Any other questions on the motion? All in favor? And that's carried unanimous with hands. Thank you. So now I'll ask for a motion then that we adjourn this public meeting at 2:14 p.m. on the June 28th, 2022, and then that we resume our regular meeting of council. Councillor Walsh, and Counselor Archer seconded. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, back into our regular meeting of our agenda, and basically we've come to an end of it, and we're just going to be reading the bylaws, please. Madam Clerk.
Being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2009-08 as amended, being a bylaw to regulate the use of land and the use and erection of buildings and structures within the township of Asphodel-Norwood, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2022-28.
Motion by Counselor Walsh, seconded by Counselor Ward. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. We have the confirming bylaw then, please.
Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of the council of the township of Asphodel-Norwood held June 28th, 2022. Excuse me, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2022-29.
Thank you. Motion by Counselor Ward, seconded by Counselor Archer. All in favor? And that's carried unanimous. Thank you. So, council, you see your future meeting schedule ahead of you. I don't believe there's any questions or concerns. And then I'll ask for a motion then to adjourn our meeting today at 2:15 p.m. and that our next regular meeting of July 26, 2022 at 1 p.m. or at the call of the chair. Motion by Counselor Walsh, seconded by Counselor Archer. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your time today, and be safe.